Alrighty then. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, my bud tender Rod. This is some smoke to think on. Give me just 2 seconds to finish rolling this joint. And then we'll get right into today's episode. Episode. Is that what it is? Are we episodic here at Smoke to Think On, or are we absolutely at random, hopping onto live stream at any given moment that something catches our eye? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe we're episodic and completely batshit crazy. What do you think? Is it both? It's probably both. Alright, there's my shining and beautiful face. I am your host, my bud tender Rod. Follow down there, you can see it scrolling in the flames below me. My bud tender Rod, that's on Instagram. That's pretty much the only thing I really use. Twitter makes my soul ache, and Facebook just makes me hate my family. It's just not for me. Anyway, smoking on some of this 215. This fire and loud. Got a homie who's also a medical patient here in this great state of Nevada. They don't grow this within 25 miles of his house, so he can grow it. But he grew a little extra, so I got a little extra. It's fan-fucking-tastic. Yeah. It's good. So welcome. Today's episode is basically right here on the screen.
Yeah, this is a shirt we got.
There was a time in this world where going live was sacred. Not anymore. Brief interruptions. Thanks for sticking with us. Today's episode is, like I said, it's over here on the screen for you. Excuse me. Dying over here. Dying. I'm fucking dying, boss. Dying, Larry. Anyway. I'm just fucking appalled at this, and that explains the thumbnail. Trump deranged, or as these people got Trump derangement syndrome. Now, I am, as anybody who has watched this channel for more than 1 fucking minute knows. Okay, kill me. No, yeah, we're less than 1 minute in. I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't think Trump should be president. But I also don't think you're a piece of shit racist if you do like him and think he should be president. Recognize we have a difference of opinion. It does not necessarily identify you as, a child molesting fucking racist or something. But this is disgusting to me. These people booed at a funeral. Put this in perspective. You're there, paying respects to your loved ones, and because someone the crowd doesn't like comes to pay their respects, they all start booing. And I'm talking about like your Uncle Tom, you know what I'm saying? Like, or your Uncle Joe. They happen to be like, maybe they're the racists in the family, nobody really likes them, but they still have a right to pay their fucking respects. Booing at a fucking funeral is disgusting, and it's a little deranged, and I really can't find any legitimate, logical, what do you call the word? Well, justice is just so overused these days, but justification, like, you just can't justify that. I don't care if you fucking, I don't care if you were personally molested with a broomstick by the president. You don't boo at a funeral. Maybe you wait outside, and like when the motherfucker comes out, like getting in his car, maybe you hassle him, I guess. I suppose maybe there's a line where you could do that, but like, crowd boos Donald and Melania Trump as the first couple pay their respects to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. These are human beings. This is not the WWF. Crowd need not respond is what I'm saying. If you think it's distasteful, write a fucking blog post. Booing at a funeral. Turned a funeral into a fucking protest. Ought to be goddamn ashamed of these fucking selves. Back at the Supreme Court when they paid their respects to late Justice on Thursday. Honor her wish, they yelled. Vote him out, they yelled. Fucking, these people are deranged, I'm sorry. But if you are so off your fucking rocker that you were at the Supreme Court today to boo at Donald Trump for paying his respects to the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg, then you're fucking got a screw loose. I'm sorry. You know, you're right. He shouldn't be president. I agree with you. But your behavior is fucking insane. Now, I'll be completely frank, I would rather see another 4 years of the fucking orange man bad than to see a proxy president. But that's because, personally, I don't think they hold any value in my life. They don't affect my life. They don't. The local sheriff affects my life. You know? Like, look at what's going on in Portland, right? The mayor and the governor are telling Trump to keep federal troops out of Portland. You know who's responsible for keeping federal troops out of Portland? Portland's sheriff and the sheriff's department. Guess who's not holding their fucking ground? They're fucking working with them. And this is what I'm saying. It doesn't fucking matter. When people protested, when Obama was in office, federal troops came in and fucking rounded people up and pulled protesters out of crowds. This is not new shit. This is just the first time that the mainstream media pretends to give a fuck about it. Used to be the only way you saw a protester corralled by police out of a crowd was when you were watching a live stream from somebody who was there but smart enough to be a few feet back from the fucking corralling. Now it's on CNN. Now they show you on MSNBC the cops and the feds are pulling people off the streets. Obama did the same shit. Sent in federal troops, did the same shit. First Amendment's been under attack since 2001. None of this is new. What's new, again, is mainstream media's facade of give a fuck. I mean, look at this shit. 2 officers shot during Louisville protests over Breonna Taylor case. Now, from what I've read or seen, articles and news flashes, the cops kicked in that door. According to several witnesses, they announced that they were police. According to the guy who was her boyfriend, says they didn't. I don't know. But nonetheless, her man fucking pulled a gun out and started shooting at the cops. And then they unloaded. Because that's what happens when you shoot at the cops. Now, maybe he's hard of hearing and he didn't hear them say... I'm not saying the incident isn't tragic. And I think them cops and the city should have to pay out civil suits to the family. I do. I think that as a police officer, you need to be aware enough of your fucking surroundings and capable enough with your handgun to shoot the assailant, not the fucking girlfriend next to him. And I'm sorry, but homie, when you pull a gun at the cops and start shooting, you're gonna get shot at. What I think is ridiculous is that the police don't seem to fucking have, you know, the same capacity for an aim as John Rambo. And I mean, Rambo used to just fucking fire bullets all over the goddamn place. Probably 2 bullets would hit each guy he fired 50 at. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying his cops aren't even as accurate as Rambo. What the fuck? Shooting bullets into neighbors' houses, shooting bullets into fucking people that aren't armed and are just sitting on the couch chilling. That's fucked up. But it's not murder. Now, if they just kicked the door in and started shooting everybody, that'd be a totally different story. We should fucking string them motherfuckers up. Definitely. But that ain't what happened. They were fired upon. They're gonna shoot back. That's, you know, like, it's just what happens. I don't understand the disconnect here. Cops didn't commit a crime. They didn't murder anybody. Committed manslaughter at best. I don't think they should go to jail. They should pay out civil suits. The city should. Definitely. And so should the cops. If you're not well trained enough to take aim and actually hit what's shooting at you, no. You should definitely be liable. But criminally, go to fucking prison for it? I mean, if you're running a forklift at a job site and you accidentally fucking smack a dude in the face with the forklift because it's up too high with a bunch of boxes on it and you're not paying attention and you swerve and you crack some motherfucker in the skull and he got a weak embolism waiting to pop up there and he drops dead, should you go to prison? You know what I mean? Like, when you're on the job, accidents happen and people can get hurt and there's liability for that. You know what I mean? Like, if you did that at a job site, you would lose your license to operate heavy machinery. You know what I'm saying? Like, there'd be consequences. You might have to pay some fines, pay more in insurance. There's shit that would happen that would be not necessarily great for you. It was an accident. You didn't do it intend to run some motherfucker over, right? These cops did not kick in that door prepared to fucking murder a bunch of people. That wasn't their plan. They weren't like, we're gonna kill these people because they're black. That's fucking stupid. It's not real. It's not reality. But that's the reality that we're presented with. That's exactly what we're basically told happened. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Oh, okay. Well, she was killed in her living room. She's doing nothing wrong. Cops kicked in the door and didn't even announce their presence. According to one person, not according to the other witnesses that were around in there. The fuck? I mean, you gotta tell the whole real story and then decide what's gonna happen. We don't get the whole real story. We get one version of the story repetitiously told until people are shooting police officers in the fucking streets. It all comes back to this kind of mentality. These people think that they are justified to go boo at a funeral. Why? Because it's Trump, and Trump is the opposite fundamentally and philosophically from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That does not excuse being an asshole at a funeral. And I don't know about you, but there's lots of people in this world that I don't necessarily agree with on a political or philosophical level that I still like. I still enjoy their company. I still call them my friends. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you, the majority of the people in my life that I consider friends, I don't agree with on a fundamental level. The majority of the people on the right that I know and that I love, I have fundamental disagreements with. I don't want to say that I'm pro-abortion, but I'm not anti-abortion, right? Like, I think abortion is none of my business physically. I just don't get to have one. Now, do I have an opinion on its morality? Sure, of course I do. But morality is a job for God and the soul, not for me. I'm not here to tell you you're right or wrong for making a choice like that. Now, I do happen to think it's funny that the same people that put science above all things else and will call a bacterial fucking fossil from Mars life, but an embryo isn't. It's weird to me, but okay. But when my redneck family is like, you know, you know, Jesus this, Jesus that, God hates fags kind of fucking mentality. I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I don't think God gives a shit whose dick or where you put your dick. I don't think he gives a fuck at all. Right? But at the same time, when I'm talking to the people that I know who are on the left and who are liberals, and they're like, we need stricter gun laws, I'm like, y'all are out of your fucking minds. Have you seen what's happening in Victoria, Australia right now? People are being choked out on the street for not wearing a mask. That's one way to keep the spread of COVID down below 6 feet, I suppose. Bitch can't breathe, she can't be spreading it. Those people are right now living in fucking 1984, straight up Orwell's Germany style shit. I know Orwell didn't write a book about Germany. I'm conflating Nazi Germany and Orwell's Eurasia, I'm saying. And it's because they don't have guns. They have no guns. They gave them up. They had guns. They used to be armed, and now they're not. So I don't agree at all with that portion of the left. You know, when I have younger people in my life that I know who are in their mid or early 20s who are, you know, they're gangbusters on this Black Lives Matter and Breonna Taylor shit, and they're not reading into anything. They're not looking at court cases at all. They're just reading on Twitter and going, yeah, that's fucked up. That's what really happened. Fuck. And, you know, I gotta bite the shit out of my tongue. Because when you start telling people they're wrong about stuff, they get fucking mad at you and they don't want to hang out with you anymore. You lose friends over that shit. You have to be able to disassociate the philosophical and political beliefs from the decent human being whose time you enjoy spending, you know, with. Who with you enjoy spending time. That's what I meant to say. But instead, people block each other on Facebook, disavow family. I mean, the Civil War is digital. Well, let me rephrase that. Civil War has been digital. It's starting to creep its way into the streets. And that is fucked up. And it makes me sad because the reality is that this Civil War, unlike the last Civil War, is not fought for the freedom or for the unity of the nation. It's fought for the division and the destruction of the nation. You understand? You can find them on Twitter. You can find them on YouTube. You can find it online where there is clear evidence of funding in terms of, you know, these protests. Like, that's not conspiracy theory. U-Haul trucks full of pre-made signs do not just show up in Louisville magically. That's an organization. There's organized things happening. It costs money to rent a U-Haul. It costs money to make signs. It costs money to pay somebody to drive them motherfuckers from town to town, from riot to riot. Shit's real. The reason that shit is funded, the reason it's being done, and don't kid yourselves, there's provocateurs on the right also. They're just, you can watch previous videos and streams during live streams. I've pointed it out before. The right is just a little bit more clever with their provoking, because the people that are there from the far right to provoke are usually paid to be there. They're usually cops or military or intelligence agents who are there to start shit and stir things up. And you can tell. Anyway, I digress. My point is that these people are paid to create a civil war in the streets. They're funded or they're paid. The people on the left are usually there out of passion. They don't need a paycheck. They just need the signs and somebody to bust them around. They're happy to show up and go. But the people on the right are usually provocateurs who are professionals. They're usually in intelligence or officers of the law. That's a fact. You can watch it. You can just see it. And they'll say some ignorant shit. They'll call a black guy the N-word, wait to get popped, then they'll back up and wait for the crowd to frenzy. Whereas the ones on the left just throw a brick at somebody. And it's also that what we've all been taught and learned as kids growing up and as people dreaming on our own as, quote, the American dream, can be dissolved. And we can live in a corporate oligarchy that more resembles neo-feudalism than, the freedom and prosperity we all fucking thought we were going to get. And we can stop it. We can stop it by not doing this shit, by not participating in this shit. If you go to a protest, sit down in the middle of the street. I don't know where this got lost. People seem to forget how Martin Luther King was so absolutely successful in advancing civil rights in this country. It wasn't burning down 7-Elevens. It was going out into the middle of the fucking street, thousands of you, and just sitting down and going limp. Just go limp. Make the cops come in there one by one and physically drag you out. Don't fight, don't resist. Don't give them a reason to hit you with tear gas or pepper spray. Sit the fuck down. Let them drag you off. That's your sacrifice. That's your protest. These kids today don't seem to understand that protesting came with sacrifices. You were bucking the system. The system bucked back. But this kind of divisive bullshit that is designed specifically to keep us at one another's throats is not helpful. It's actively allowing these kinds of people to succeed in what they want, which is complete control and monopoly. Everybody's looking at everybody out of work and then at the stock market and going, I don't understand. How's the stock market crushing it? It's because the stock market is the 1%. They're getting all of the money. They're doing great. It's the small businesses who are not involved in that particular racket who are fucked. And all the people that are in that racket, these big firms, consulting, engineering, construction, like all these big firms and stuff, they've gotten rid of offices. They're all working structurally through home and through Zoom and through other technological means now. We've all had slowdowns on the internet in the last 3 months, right? Am I alone here, or have we not all seen the taxation on the internet from what's going on, from everybody being out of work? People are at home, they're Netflixing, or they're at home in the office now. The office is home. And I mean, if you get rid of all of your overhead, essentially, you're making a lot of profits, your stocks are going to do great. People are going to want to invest in you. So, of course the 1% is making out. They're getting fucking paid, fat stacks. Meanwhile, the 99%, instead of fucking taking over Zuccotti Park like we did in 2011, are fucking throwing bottles at each other and getting in fistfights. Anonymous was not entirely left. Let's make that an understood thing right now. There were people in those parks who were right-wing, who were left-wing. They didn't give a fuck. What they were against was the fucking fact that all of the power and wealth and money were in the hands of one little tiny group of people. And the rest of us were left dangling for shit. And people were fucking furious. Now was actually a summer of love. 2011, we didn't really have nearly the violence that we have right now in the streets. There were violence by the police. The cops have always been violent. They're militarized. They look at us like an enemy. But when you have people out here doing shit like this, booing at a fucking funeral, this is a time where we're supposed to be paying respects. And I can already hear the people on the left saying, oh, RGB or RBG would have loved that. She was booing in her grave right with us. No, she wasn't. She's fucking dead. Sorry. Facts. She no longer gives a fuck. She's out of the game. She's done playing. She don't give a shit. You know who does and who's still here? Us. We're still here. We're still playing. We matter. So pay attention. Because it is just a game. This is just a ride. That simulation shit, the Matrix, it's got more to do with transfer of energy and speed at which the energy is traveling than it does with any kind of weird mechanics or, you know, we're not trapped in a computer. It's a little bit different than that. We're not trapped. We choose to be here. And we forget that. We forget that it's a choice. I feel like I say it all the time, and I do, I guess, but we need to get the same people that were in the streets for 9/11 truth and the same people that were in the streets protesting the Bilderberg Convention to be out here in the streets with these kids who are fighting with Black Lives Matter. Because while I have a hard truth for everyone watching, we don't have any systems of racism in this country. We have racists. I'll give you that. There's still definitely ignorant pieces of shit running around our fucking streets. And I'll even give you some of them are probably in positions of power. But we actually have so many checks and balances for specifically racism and sexism that in terms of systems, I'm sorry, you're just not going to make the argument. And let's be fair, the only way anybody makes the argument that we have quote-unquote systemic racism is by completely redefining the entire word racism, which I won't give you. When you're talking to me, we're going to use Webster's fucking dictionary, not some random sociologist dictionary who figured out that they could make an emotional argument by reconfiguring the definition of words. I won't have it. In fact, the Supreme Court just recently fixed the last form of systemic oppression in this country, which was the fact that you could still be fired or not hired for being gay. That's fucking ridiculous. It took till 2020 for that shit. But that was it. Gay marriage and gay workers' rights, that was it as the last form of straight up oppression. On the books oppression. You tell somebody, I'm sorry, sir, you're too black for this job. You are losing your business license. The fucking might as well put a closed sign up now because the lawsuits are rolling in. Now, could you be a racist piece of shit and not hire black people? Yeah, of course you could. This is fucking America. If you want to be a racist piece of shit, you can. But don't think folks aren't going to notice when they come into the doors. They will. Again, I'm not saying there's no racists, but I won't give you the argument that we live in a systemic racism country. We just don't. We did. That was a thing. Our history is based in it, absolutely. But you know what else our history is based in? Undoing that. It is a smack in the face of every single person who was born from about 1970 on. Because my entire life, all of the fucking 80s and 90s that I was alive, it was always reinforced everywhere on television, in movies, in comic books, in my Ninja Turtles comic books and cartoons, everywhere I looked. Inclusivity, diversity, and anti-racism was part of the fucking cultural package. Just was. And we'll have to discuss crime criminality, crime statistics, and police interaction for another day because I just don't have the time. I'm moving. But I saw this shit and I was just so absolutely disgusted and appalled by what I saw that I had to fucking pop on the stream for, I don't know, 30 minutes it looks like, and just say, these people, they're fucking deranged. Sorry. Trump may also be deranged, but for anybody who needed help pointing out to other folks what you're talking about when you talk about folks suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, that's what we're talking about. Booing at a fucking funeral. It's disrespectful to the event and to the person who's being honored. And if you think someone showing up to pay their respects is disrespectful to the person being honored, let me give you some insight. That's not your fucking place to judge. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what relationship Donald Trump had to that fucking woman. I'm sure they weren't homies, but I would bet they knew each other. Our country is so lost and devoid of critical thinking that we seem to have forgotten I don't know how to say it, but there is a difference between not seeing eye to eye and being legitimate enemies. Okay? Legitimate enemy is someone who is out to get you on a personal, physical, lifelike level, right? Like an enemy wants to fucking see your house burned down, or an enemy wants to fucking get you fired, because, they want your job. Political enemy is someone who you're in competition with for a limited seat. You don't wish them harm. If you're running for president against someone, you don't hope they get hit by a bus. And maybe you might not be super bummed about it if they did in terms of the election, but you might also think, fuck, he's dead now. Fuck. I better go say, fucking good luck in heaven or hell, player. Again, it's not the WWE or the WWF or whatever they call it now. These aren't fucking icons that you've attributed statistics to and have expectations of. They're fucking people. And you don't know the relationship they had. Maybe she was a cunt to him. Maybe he went just for the specific purpose of whispering into her ear, I'm gonna replace you before the election. Guess what? If they got bad blood and beef between them, that's his fucking right. She died first, And if he'd have died first, it'd have been her right to go in and whisper his ear, fucking orange man bad, or whatever the fuck. I don't know. We don't know what relationship they had. It's none of our fucking business. And again, if you think him showing up to pay respects is distasteful or disrespectful or arrogant or ignorant or any of the negative shit you could say, write a fucking blog post. Grab your camera, start your YouTube. Have fucking at it. Go to a funeral and boo, you're lost. You've stepped into the derangement zone. And that's sad. Because I know several very smart, logical, loving, forgiving, decent human beings who have fallen into the Trump derangement syndrome. Who lose sleep at night thinking about whether or not he's going to get to choose the next justice. To which I'm thinking, at the fucking current pace of challenge, the effects on gay or women's rights that the Supreme Court new justice could have, Probably not within some of these folks' lifetimes. Because while states have passed laws that have then been taken to the Supreme Court, and Roe versus Wade has been used as the precedent to squash those illegal laws in the state. So like when Alabama wanted to make it a fucking felony murder charge to go to New York and have an abortion if you came back to Alabama, or I think pretty sure it was Alabama, they could charge you for murder, right? The Supreme Court squashed that shit. They took that up to the Supreme Court and they were like, no, that's fucking ludicrous. Are you on drugs? You can't do that. But I have not been able to find a single case or instance where they have actually actively tried to challenge Roe versus Wade. Haven't seen it. They just made the decisions for gay marriage and for gay rights, and a Republican dissented on the gay rights for work and said, yay, we need this. These people are human beings who are equally entitled to the same opportunities as any other American. And when asked why, he said because he respects the fucking precedent. And it's blind division, right? The only reason you assume that a Republican is going to come into the office or into the situation of Supreme Court justice and immediately vote the opposite way that you do is because you have a blind belief that there is a definitive right and left, and people are strictly one way or the other on it. You know, you could be a serious conservative and also still believe in a woman's right to choose. I know that baffles your mind, but it's actually true. You can believe in things like core family values, having a mom and a dad in the house, or what do they call it, lipstick and a Dutch or butch or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you have a masculine and a feminine energy in the home, bringing balance to those kids, doesn't matter whether or not you have a dick, you know what I'm saying, or a pussy. It doesn't make any difference. Like, two gay dudes could definitely raise kids just fine, as long as one of them's a little bit more nurturing and a little bit more sympathetic and empathetic, and the other is a little bit more of a hard ass and capable of discipline. Doesn't fucking matter which one's which. I don't give a fuck, right? I just want well-balanced people in the communities I have to navigate. That's all I'm asking for. Case in point. You can be a conservative and believe in family values and also believe that two men can raise a child. Two women could raise a child. I have fucking doubts about that, but two men could raise a child. Oh, fuck. I'm just fucking with y'all. But if you believe that people, their beliefs, their philosophies, and what's in their heart, all always line up, because that's not true. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who might be staunch abolitionists for abortion, and then yet might get a girl pregnant and be like, well, maybe this one time be okay with me. You know, because they're confronted with the fact that they're now going to have to be a parent for the rest of their lives. So, you know, just because you think something doesn't necessarily mean it's what you're going to act on or what your heart says. Human beings are not computers. We're not ones and zeros, and we do not have a definitive logic outcome. This right here illustrates that people do not fucking understand that. And if we continue to socially, en masse, fucking continue to behave in the binary like this, the machine's gonna crash. You know? People understand that computers are made of ones and zeros, yes, but they're made of bytes to bits. Yeah, so ones and zeros, but a computer works on bytes, and a byte is consistent of 8 bits. Eight digits of ones and zeros creates a byte. You understand? So it's more subtle than just ones and zeros. It's how are those ones and zeros arranged in consecutive order, or I mean not consecutive, but a concessive order of 8-bit values. Does that make sense? Probably doesn't, but there. 1 byte is 8 bits, and a bit is as small as they get. Feel? So computers are not just ones and zeros. They are, but it's more complex and subtle than that. And this is the problem with the binary system of philosophy and politic, is that human beings are actually a lot more like computers than we know. But we don't know enough about computers to understand the analogy. That's what I'm trying to get at. There's subtlety. There's ifs, there's ands, there's ors, there's conditions, there's looping, there's repetition. I think I just proved the matrix. That's all I'm saying. Right? Anyway, folks, I think this is going to have been some smoke to think on. I am your host, my bud tender Rod. Try not to be divided. Try to love your neighbor. Try to love the people on Facebook that make you fucking angry. Instead of blocking your cousin Steve because he said some ignorant shit, might I recommend asking him how his dog's doing? How's his kids? Don't engage. The reality is, okay, you're not going to convert him. He's not going to convert you. You have a basic understanding of where each other's coming from. Move the fuck on. If you say to yourself, well, if he supports Trump, I mean, he must be a fucking racist moron. I don't want anything to do with fucking racist morons, so I mean, I'm just obviously going to block him. You are behaving in a binary manner. So instead, look at the bits, organize a byte, and move the fuck on. You don't have to disown people because they're fucking ignorant. Because I have news for you, in case anybody was curious. That guy or that girl or that lady or that cousin or whatever on Facebook that said that ignorant shit that you were like, I'm gonna fucking block them. You loved them your whole life. They were your family. You gave them hugs at fucking Christmas and you loved to see them at New Year's. Or Thanksgiving. Christmas, New Year's, anyway, you know what I mean. And then the Trump election came along. And you discovered they were a fucking ignorant moron. There's a key word there. Discovered. They were always an ignorant fucking moron. You loved them before. Now you just know. It's not a big deal. Don't engage them in conversations that illustrate their staunch ignorant moronity, and you'll be alright. I was double checking, is moronity a word? Yes, it is. Oh. Yeah. Sometimes that old vocabulary shit comes back. Mild mental retardation. Damn, free dictionary, don't you know? That ain't polite. So like I said, try not to be a 1 or a 0. Try to be a byte. Try to be 8 ones and zeros, configured in a way that acts like water instead of like rocks. Take that Bruce Lee shit to heart. You know what I'm talking about, right? Bruce Lee, that old quote where he's like, water never tries to change the shape of its vessel, it changes to the shape of its vessel. So be like water and you'll flow easy. Be like water, baby. Be a bite. Don't be a bit. I'm gonna write that down.